Hi guys, it's Mrs. Driso, and we are talking about triangles today. Yes, I am recording this at my house, so you're going to hear probably my cat meowing at me in just a minute, and possibly my daughter singing in the next room. So just ignore. Anyways, alright, the first way that we classify triangles is using angles. So what I'd like you to do is, as I am writing the description underneath, I'd like you to do the same thing in your notes. We can classify triangles using angles. The first is an acute angle, which means that all three, so let's make sure this works, all three angles are acute. Do you hear my cat in the background? She's meowing at me. Okay, the next kind is an obtuse triangle. An obtuse triangle means that just one angle right there is obtuse. And you can only have one obtuse angle in a triangle, otherwise it would not be a triangle. Next thing is a right triangle. Okay, you see that? It means that one angle is a right triangle. There will only be one right angle in a triangle. And finally, we have an equal angular triangle. That means that all three angles are congruent. Okay, let's go down to classifying triangles using sides. Congruent sides have the same length, and you will see that marked with these little hash marks. Whenever you see that, it means that triangles are congruent. Now it looks like I just made eyes on that triangle. So we have a scalene triangle. A scalene triangle means that no sides or angles are congruent. Okay, so make sure you get that written. Next we have isosceles. Isosceles means two sides are congruent. And finally we have an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle means all three sides are equal. All three sides are equal. And we talked about this in class, the fact that with an equal angular and an equilateral, these are actually the same triangle. So an equilateral is also going to be an equal angular. The first example in your notes is to classify triangles. We would like you to classify each triangle. Let's take a look at this first triangle, letter A. We have three different angles completely, 115, 25, and 40. This is actually two different classifications. This could be a scalene obtuse triangle. The next one, letter B, is we have two sides that are equal. Okay, and when we have two sides that are equal, we didn't talk about it, but the two angles that are at the base of those sides are also angles, so equal. So this is an isosceles, and it's also acute. Do you hear my cat meowing at me? She's sitting right behind me. I'd like you to try the next two on your own, so please pause the video, and I'm going to wait just a few seconds to let you get to the pause button, and I'd like you to classify the next two triangles, please. Okay, so now we're going on to 7.3, which is actually an extension. In 7.3, we learned that the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Because we know that, we can actually find the missing angles in any triangle as long as they give us two of the angles. Let's look at letter A. We have our first angle, which is 28, and we're adding to that the other angle, which is 50, and then we have our missing angle, which is x, and we know those add up to 180 degrees. I'm going to simplify here on the left side. 28 plus 50 is 78, plus x equals 180. This is a one-step equation. I'm going to subtract 78 from both sides. These cancel out, and x equals 102. Now, if x right here equals 102, then we know that this is a scalene triangle. It is also obtuse. It has 3 completely different angles, which means it has completely different sides. And one of those angles is larger than 90. Let's look at letter B. This looks like we have a 45. That's given. And then we have this right here. They didn't tell us, but what that little square means right here is that this is a right triangle, which adds up to 90 degrees. Plus x equals 180. I'm going to simplify here. 45 plus 90 is 135. Plus x equals 80. I'm sorry, 180. One-step triangle, I'm going to subtract now to get x by itself. 135 minus 135. These cancel. So x, okay, is going to be 45 degrees. So this missing triangle right there, or missing angle, is 45 degrees. Now, the thing that you will learn as you study triangles is you already saw that this is an isosceles triangle. It has 2 little hash marks, one on each side, which means that those sides are the same. One thing about a scalene triangle is, I'm sorry, not a scalene, an isosceles triangle is that the 2 angles at the base, or the 2 angles that are at the bottom of those lines, are also equal. So this is actually an isosceles, and it is also an acute triangle.